chances are your Windows machine is absolutely bloated. Now, in order to save your Windows machine or in order to debloat it, I have researched some ways, and today we are going to look at that. So, chances are that you want to reinstall your Windows or you are installing your Windows right now. So let's see how you can create a debloated version of Windows. So firstly, what we will do is we will go to the Microsoft website in order to download Windows 11. So let's get started. So here you can see this is our download Windows 11 disk image ISO part. So we'll just select the Windows 11 edition and go to download now. Once you click on download now, it will validate your request and you can just choose your product language and we'll go and select English International and we'll confirm. So it validates your request in order to fight from bots. So you can just click on 64-bit download and it will begin this download process. Now I already have it, so I'm just going to cancel out of it. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to install Rufus. So I'll share all of the links in the description. You can just scroll down and select Rufus, the latest version. In my case it's Rufus 4.6, so I'm just going to click on that and it should just download it. I'll click on keep and it's downloaded. Nice. Next thing, we will open the ChrisTitus Windows utility or ChrisTitus WinUtil. So all you have to do is have to navigate to this website and copy this command over here. Just click on copy and now we'll open a PowerShell as an administrator. So either click on run as administrator or control shift enter, say yes, and voila, here we have a PowerShell at administrator privileges. Now we are just going to paste the command that we copied and press enter. Now what this will do is ChrisTitus and some developers on GitHub have created this batch file that creates an entire UI. So here we have this UI that you can see. You can also observe the logs that will be created in this PowerShell. So once this utility has loaded, we will go to MicroWin and over here we will have the ability to debloat an ISO. So the Windows 11 ISO we just downloaded can be debloated. So what we will do is we will select the downloads folder over here. We'll click on OK and we'll select your own ISO. So it's already selected, and get Windows ISO. So once you click on get Windows ISO, we'll go to the downloads folder. Over here we just select the ISO. So now as you can see here, it has mounted our Windows 11 ISO, and what we can do is we can go to this PowerShell and we'll have all of the logs of what it's doing. So what it will do is basically it will mount the ISO in a temporary partition on our disk, and then it will try to find out files that will install particular softwares or particular packages into our system. So it will delete those files, thus helping in the installation process where we will have a minimal sized ISO and it won't take a lot of time installing Windows. In comparison, we could have used an unattended.xml file where it chooses the software that needs to be uninstalled, but it deletes them during the installation process. So this saves time for system administrator and everyone else, but the process that I have ended up researching includes using both of these techniques. So we will create a MicroWin ISO where it will be a debloated ISO that doesn't have a lot of packages, but we will also create an unattended XML file that's actually an answer file that will just provide answer to the out of box experience that we have on Windows during the setup process. So let's look at what we can do with the unattended XML files. So I have already uploaded this XML file on my GitHub, which again I'll put the link in the description. What we should do is we should download this raw file. So it will download. Let's select on keep and it will get downloaded. So the next thing we will do is go to this website, that's shnikans.de. I hope I did not butcher that name, But essentially what this website does is it creates an unattended XML file that answers a lot of questions that are asked during the out of box experience or during the setup experience. So what we will do now is we will select the auto unattend file that we just downloaded from our GitHub. We'll open it and import the file. Now what it will do is I had already created this unattended XML file that it will load into this website and just fill up the options automatically. Now I created a very generic answer file, and once you import it you can just edit it out based on your needs. So let's get started. So you can choose the window display language that I'll keep as English International. Any secondary language you want to add, you can add. The home location and then the architecture of your computer. I have entered like bypass Windows 11 requirements and no internet needed for installation. Now you can choose a computer name here. I kept computer, but you can just name anything, so I just named Lenovo. Next we have this compact OS thing where Windows just creates compressed files of your system files. So basically all your system files will be compressed. I have just selected let Windows decide whether to use compact OS. If you have like storage restrictions on your device, you can use compact OS, or you can just, it will definitely bring some instability onto your system, so just be careful with that. Next we have the time zone that I let Windows determine automatically for partitioning and formatting. If you are a system administrator or an IT guy, you can just use some code over here that can be a custom disk part script, or I just ended up selecting partitioning the disk interactively during Windows setup. Next, for the product key, I have selected Windows 11 Home, but mine is like Windows Home single language, so I'll select that. For username, you can edit. So I'm just going to put my name Vignesh and a very secure password that will be like blank. Okay, so you can obscure your account password if you are going to upload it somewhere. So Windows has this password expiration thing. You can just disable it with passwords don't expire. So most password like expire after 42 days, so you can just disable that. And here we have this Windows login policy where if you have like 10 failed attempts within 10 minutes, then you will not be allowed to unlock your system for like 10 minutes. So you can disable it, or you can set a custom policy. Next we have this Windows Explorer tweaks. Personally I just like to show all files. If you want, you can hide operating system files. Next we have this search box in the taskbar, so I kept it hidden. File extension needs to be shown every time. I don't need any widgets. Classic context menu, yeah, I did want that because the new context menu is pretty ugly. So left align, yeah, if you want a left align taskbar, you can do so. Next we have these preset icons that we have over here. We can just disable them. Hide the task view button, always show all tray icons. So if you on Windows 10, it just enables a registry value, but on Windows 11 it keeps a process that continuously asks all the tray icons to be visible. So if you want, you can use that. Personally I don't want to use it because that will again end up being a process in the background, so I guess. So File Explorer opens to this PC instead of quick access. If you want to disable the Windows Defender, you can. Personally I won't recommend it. You don't need any antivirus. If you have Windows Defender, probably just keep it. And for Windows updates, you might want to disable Windows Update, but I won't recommend that because we can have another solution over that I'll explain further in the video. You can disable user account control, so basically the permission that it asks for like administrative privileges and stuff like that, so you can disable that. Smart app control, smart screen, that just bugs in between when you want to install some application, so if you want to disable, you can. again this long path thing where it uses longer paths rather than just 240 or 236 I think some characters. It uses 32,000 characters. So I guess again remote desktop client or hardened ACLs basically means like it doesn't allow you to create bogus files in the system files directory. So in the C directory it doesn't allows you to create like bogus files. So if you want to allow partial script execution, you can enable this option. So whenever you access a file, it has a last access timestamp that can end up being a process. So you can just disable that to improve file system performance. Again, do not reboot with user signed in. If you want to turn off system sound, you can do so. Probably in a company or in an organization, that would be the best to disable. But personally for me, I would like some sounds. Then disable app suggestions, prevent device encryption. So the BitLocker thing that encrypts your disk, you can disable that. So first run experience of hide, you can disable that. Again, can make edge uninstallable and this process creation event. So if you want to disable security logs, you can do so. Again, if you are into virtualization, you can select any of these virtual machine tools. So if you want to set up your Wi-Fi, you can do so over here. You can also put some script, again some telemetry stuff that Windows ends up getting, so you can enable or disable. Personally, I would recommend you to disable it all. Initial state and behavior of lock keys. So personally, I just like to keep the numlock on, and you can select a color theme over here. So I'm just gonna select dark, and here probably like okay, yeah. Show accent colors. If you want some solid color backgrounds, you can enable. If you want to remove bloatware, for this XML file I have selected everything, but I do use some of the applications like the OpenSSH client. I do use OpenSSH client, so I'll enable that, and I guess that's it. Again, here you can remove all of the tiles and pins, so for Windows 10 and Windows 11. And here you can run some custom script if you want to. I don't have any, so I'm just gonna go down, and here we have this download XML file. So just make sure that you delete the already downloaded XML file. So I'm just gonna do that. I delete this XML file that was already downloaded, and we'll download a new XML file. So you just click on keep, and this will end up downloading our XML file. So now that we have downloaded our XML file, okay, so now that we can see on the PowerShell that the utility has mounted our Windows 11 ISO, we can begin to look at our UI. What we can do is we can select the version that we have over here. So I'm going to select Windows 11 Home Single Language, as you can see over here. If you want to import drivers from your system, so like if you know what drivers you have, you can inject them over here. You can also look at the structure for driver injection over here. But right now, as I am just going to install this MicroWin ISO on my current laptop, I'm just gonna import it from my current system. So I'm gonna do that. If you are using WinToy, you can just copy it to the WinToy, or I won't suggest adding your username or password over here, because what that will do is the MicroWin will itself create its own unattended XML file, and we don't want that as we have our own XML file already existing. So we'll just click on start the process. We can select where to save our file. So I'm again going to go to my downloads folder, and I'm just going to type in MicroWin, and we will just click save, and we can just click on start the process. Okay, I guess we had already clicked on that. Now as you can see here in the PowerShell, it will start by mounting and then removing the particular files that we don't want. So we'll just wait for it. You will see this message over here that PowerShell is not responding. You can just say wait for the program to respond. It will definitely bug out because there is a lot of back and forth going on the PowerShell. So you can just wait for now. So now I think our custom MicroWin ISO has been created, and you can just click OK. And yeah, so as we can see, it created right over here, so our downloads folder. So we'll navigate to that, and we have it over here. So as you can see, we have this microwin.iso file over here, and that's all we needed. So the next thing that we want to do is use Rufus. So in order to use this ISO, what we want to do is we want to burn this ISO onto a USB. So if you have any, plug in your USBs. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my USB. That again should exceed the size of 8 gigabytes. Next, you can open up Rufus. So we'll just click on run as administrator, and yes, no, and here as you can see we have Rufus open. Now what we want to do is we want to select the MicroWin ISO. So just we went into our downloads folder and selected MicroWin ISO. We let all of the settings be there and just change the name on whatever you want to keep. So I'm just gonna say it MicroWin and just click on start. Now you will have these options over here. What you want to do is you want to untick these, because what these options will do is, again, these options provided by Rufus are going to create another unattended XML file or the answer file. We don't want that because we have already created our own answer file. So just unmark those and click on OK. Again, it's giving us the warning that given USB drive would be wiped. So just click on OK and just wait until it installs.
One eternity later.
And I guess, yeah, our burning of our USB is done with our MicroWin ISO, and we'll continue with the installation process. So the next thing we want to do is we want to open up our file explorer. We can navigate to a newly created USB over here. I hope you don't find any unattended XML files or answer files. So if you do find any, just delete them. The next thing we will do is we will navigate to our auto unattended file that we created earlier, and we'll copy it and paste it into the root of our directory. That means once you open the USB, that would be the folder where you want to paste the auto unattended file or the answer file. Just paste it here, and yeah, that should be done. So this is how your auto unattended file should look like. So now we can begin by ejecting our USB and restarting our machine, and then opening the boot manager. So now that we have plugged in our USB into our machine, we'll begin by starting our laptop. So if you just turn on your laptop, spam press F11, F12 key, or as I have a Nova button on my laptop, I can just go to the boot menu and select the appropriate USB and just boot right into it. So we'll wait until it boots up. So you might be seeing that we are just jumping through a lot of processes. We didn't have to click on agreeing the license terms. We are right at installing our Windows partition on our disk. So I'm just gonna select the partition that I need. So the touchpad doesn't work. I'm gonna select the system files partition and just gonna leave other partition as they are, because they do contain my data. So I'm going to select the partition that I needed. If you want to wipe out your entire disk, you can do so. I'm just going to select the partition that I want to install on. So I'm just going to click on next, and it will begin installing Windows. So you might observe that it was a pretty swift process, because it was the result of the answer file that we created that jumped through a lot of hoops that we have when we install Windows. And this is what makes it very useful for system administrator, or when you want to deploy a lot of machines on scale in an organization. The MicroWin utility essentially deletes all of the bloat that exists already, thus saving our time when installing Windows. So if you want to deploy machines in a very swift manner, you can do using the MicroWin utility. That would be a highly recommended ISO. And adding the unattended XML or the answers file to it just creates this installing Windows process smooth as butter and as debloated as possible. Well, I do observe that it still needs a lot of refining, and I guess Chris Titus and his team will definitely do a lot of work in refining the MicroWin utility as Windows keeps on bloating their operating system. And you might observe these command prompts or PowerShells just popping out of nowhere. These are actually the scripts that we allocated at the answer files that are running, that are trying to debloat or trying to run those operations that were particularly to say to fill up details or in order to remove apps or stuff like that. Just make sure that these partial windows keep on popping, or you might have to understand that the answer file might not have been effective while the installation, so you might have to reinstall or look for any discrepancy during the entire process. And just wait for a minute, cause we'll see again some scripts running. So yeah, I guess all of them just ran, and that's our PC. So now that I have installed OBS Studio, let's look at the performance. So right now it's just OBS Studio running in the background. I haven't yet restarted the laptop, but let's look at the performance. So now that we look at the CPU, we have 162 processors running. It was nearly around like 150 or 120, but they definitely rose after OBS Studio started running. And for the memory, we observe nearly 50% of the memory is being used, so not the best. But let's try to debloat it again with the ChrisTitus utility or the Win utility. So we go to the Microsoft Edge, and again we open the same website, and we copy this command from here, and we open PowerShell. We run it as an administrator, and let's just paste the command and press enter. That should launch the utility. Now starting from here, anyone, so if you already have a PC and you just want to debloat it, you can definitely use this utility and follow this tutorial. We'll wait for the utility to launch. Okay, so now that the utility has launched, if you want to install some stuff from here, you can do so. If you don't, currently I don't want to install anything, so let's move on to the tweaks tab, and here we'll click on standard, and it should select a standard group of tweaks. And let's see first over here. So we don't want Bing search, we want num block on startup. So verbose message will basically tell you what sort of processes are starting during the login process or logout process, or during shutdown, or when it boots up. So that's quite nice. I don't use snap assist layout or snap assist suggestions. Sticky keys is pretty annoying, and we don't need any of these nor this. And detailed BSOD means blue screen of death. You can add and activate performance profile, and I'll do so. That just automatically increase the brightness. You can create WinUtil shortcut. Okay, so now the essential tweaks. So this will create a restore point. It's all written over here, but I'm just gonna describe it out. You can delete temporary files, disable consumer features, disable telemetry, activity history, game DVR. If you don't use Xbox, you can. Personally, I don't use Xbox, I don't have time to game. You can disable hibernation, but as they have already mentioned, it's good for laptop, so we are going to enable it. Disable home group IPv4 over IPv6, location tracking, storage sense. We don't want anything. We have the ability to enable end tasks, so we can just end task with right click, run this cleanup, change Windows terminal. So we can change the Windows terminal to partial 7, and it will also remove the telemetry stuff. So we will set hibernation as default, and we'll debloat edge. So again, here we have some advanced tweaks. So any sort of Adobe bloat that we have, I don't think I have any, but I'm still gonna enable. I'll disable background apps, full screen. Let it be Microsoft Copilot. We don't want that. If you don't like notifications, you can again, I'll set display for, I'll set up classic right click menu. If you use a dual boot system, you can enable this. I don't use it right now, so I'm just going to disable it. We don't want any M store apps. If you don't want Edge, personally I do want Edge, but removes home and gallery, remove OneDrive. And yeah, I'm gonna select add guard tracker and just run tweaks. Now you shall see a lot of stuff going on in the background in the PowerShell, and you can notice it all while it runs. While it runs its tweaks, in the meantime what we can do is we can run OO 10. So that's a great utility if you want to enable disable telemetry stuff. So we'll just run that. Let's see when it loads up. Okay, yeah, we have it over here as an administrator. Just full screen it, and I have again uploaded a config file that you can find the link to. Let's open that. Again, I'll add this config file to the description, and you can download it from there. So we'll just download this raw file, we'll ask it to keep, and there we have the file. Okay, so okay, and now what we are going to do is we are going to import these settings. So just go to file, import settings, and you will find the OO setup 10 config in the downloads folder. So just click on that, and it will apply your settings, and you will see the settings applied at local and current user too. So yeah, we can just close that out. Okay, we'll restart our Windows later, but let's see if tweaks have finished. I don't think so, so we'll wait for that.
Much later.
Okay, so I did change my wallpaper, and now after the restart, let's see what our task manager says. So okay, so for the processes, we currently have 97 processes, so we might have dropped like nearly 50 processes from 160, I guess, from 150. we came down to 97 processes, and for the memory we are only consuming like 37% of our memory, so that's quite nice. So even with OBS Studio running in the background, we are only consuming 37% of our memory, so that's quite nice. Make sure that you disable all of the background application that auto run. You don't need these. So that was it, and that's how we can debloat our PCs and make them run super fast. Make sure you like the video. All of the resources will be provided in the description. I'll make sure to generate a step-by-step guide into a blog, so we'll link that too into the description. That was it. Let's meet into another video. Thank you.